issues about this thing called life. What are the challenges that we face in the protection of life? In this episode, we are very blessed to have as our guest the Regional Director for Asia and Oceania of Human Life International. We welcome to the show Dr. Ligaya Acosta. Hi, Doctora.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me, Rita. It's such a joy and a privilege to be
We are very blessed,
here.
Doctora.
Thank
So,
you.
for starters, you are Regional Director for Asia and Oceania of Human Life International. Tell us about this organization.
Yeah, Human Life International is actually the biggest pro-life and pro-family organization in the world. And our main office is in Front Royal, Virginia, in the United States of America. But we're actually all over the world. We're in Europe, in Africa, in Latin America, here in Asia and Oceania, and of course, in Rome also. We are there, just a stone's throw away from the Vatican.
Oh, all right. So basically, you are in the entire world. So, Doctora, ito po bang you protect family, the sacredness and inviolability of family life. Meron po bang mga exceptions sa sacredness of human life? You are all over the world. Pero ba mga countries na ang human life yun hindi ganun ka-sacred o hindi ganun ka-inviolable?
Merong ibang mga countries na, for example, where abortion is legal even until birth, na infanticide na. But actually, we cannot call it an exception because the Lord meant our lives, meant every human life to be inviolable with no exceptions, regardless of your achievements, regardless of your race, regardless of whether you're black or white, whether you have a doctorate degree or you didn't go to school at all. We all have the same worth and dignity in the eyes of God.
So wala po exception kasi po, di ba, in some countries like I would know US and Canada, kapag nakita nila sa prenatal examination, yung bata is may disorder, they are given the option to abort the child. Di po ba may ganon?
Yeah, they're really like programs like those with a really horrific, they're really horrible programs because they actually violate the worth and dignity of every human being, which was given to us by God. It is not given to us by government. It is not given to us by any non-government organization, but it is given to us by God. So it doesn't permit exceptions like that because whatever we are, God has a purpose for every one of us. God has a purpose.
So speaking of God and therefore speaking of the church, ano po ba ang teaching ng simbahan tungkol sa buhay?
Ay, napakarami. The church has been very, very clear from the beginning that human life is really made in the image and likeness of God. So it's only human life. Probably I'll quote exactly because they're very, very beautiful. They're very beautiful. Every time I read it, sabi ko, oh my God, there is really splendor in the teachings of God. Now we can go right back from the Bible, which actually, in fact, for example, in Psalms, it says, what is man that you should care for him? You have made him little less than the angels and crowned him with glory and honor. You have given him rule over the works of your hands, putting all things under his feet. God's most special and most valuable creation, to whom he entrusted dominion over all the earth. So we're told in Genesis, if we go back to the Bible, that God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. That's actually the source of our human dignity, our being made in the image and likeness of God. And the Catechism of the Catholic Church is very, very clear. It is in paragraph 1703, which says that the human person is the only creature on earth that God has willed for its own sake. Can you imagine how special we are? And then the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith also emphasizes that from the moment of conception, ito dapat emphasize natin, Rita, kasi now the secular world is trying to say that human life begins at implantation or
Right.
even at birth, which is actually wrong. Because right at the moment of conception, when the sperm and the egg unites, all the genetic characteristics of a human being is already there. You know, the color of your hair is already determined, the color of your eyes is already determined. And the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith also categorically emphasizes that from the moment of conception, the life of the human being is to be respected in an absolute way. I like the wordings of the church, walang doubt, no? In an absolute way, because man is the only creature on earth that God has wished for himself. And the spiritual soul of each man is immediately created by God. His whole being bears the image of God, the Creator. Isn't it so beautiful? Each one of us, you and I, poor, rich or poor, healthy or unhealthy, young or old, we bear the image of God. So therefore, the dignity of a person must be recognized in every human being from conception to natural death. And we have a lot more very beautiful teachings of the church.
How beautifully you read the scriptures, Doctora. It is really showing your passion, ano?
Yeah, we can't help. We
life.
can't really help it. Yes, yes.
But Doctora, we recognize that there are many beliefs around the world. Hindi naman lahat ng tao sa mundo Christian. So paano po, how would you explain the sacredness of the human life to somebody who is not Christian or Catholic?
That is why Human Life International was born. We at Human Life International actually speaks to people who don't even believe in God. We're all over the world. Me personally, I've been to so many countries. There are atheists in my audience. There are other religions, people of other beliefs in the
right. Yes.
in the audience. Yeah, but you know, I preach to them what the Lord has taught us, and then I also share with them the story of my life. I didn't speak the way like this before, but you know, God in all his goodness and mercy called me, made me change before I die. So that's why I'm like this, because I was a sinner before. I was a very different person before. And you know, Rita, really there is power in the gospel of life. And I am more and more passionate each day because I see a lot of conversions. Wherever we go, I see a lot of conversions. For example, I was in one country, hindi ko napapangalanan para hindi naman sila. Alam nyo, the bishop and the priests were telling me na, you know, they don't preach so much about God kasi nga hindi Christian country. They don't preach about abortion kasi they were so afraid na they might be sent back to their respective countries. They were so afraid that they will be imprisoned. So you know what I did? I prayed so hard. I really prayed and fasted, spent a lot more time in the Blessed Sacrament. But you know, by God's amazing grace, after my talk, people were lining up to ask for my rosaries, and I also always bring one. And then they tell me, oh my God, we also want to know about your Mama Mary. I'm not telling them, you know, you are bad because you don't believe in God. We don't do that. Just like Jesus, we preach with love, no, not in a condescending manner, but we preach with love. I had to pray hard so that I will be able to do it. Because before, I also committed a mistake that I thought that if we win in arguments or in debates, we already convert people. It's not so. It's like people really preach with love. And you know, I tried to control my tears when they were lining up and said, can you also teach us how to pray? Can you teach us about your Mama Mary? Because I was mentioning about our Blessed Mother and others. And it is something which really make me more and more passionate each day. Grabe. Because in the first time I took over as regional director of HLI, I went to the many countries because I wanted to see what was the situation. And then it was so painful for me to realize that many in the church, I will not name anymore, they are more like social workers. They're more involved in giving livelihood to the poor, but they are not really introducing God into the lives of the people. So I just prayed so hard. So that's why here in Asia and Oceania, it is one of my priorities to be conducting pro-life training. No, human life, marriage, and family is really for everyone. And I am so happy that we are getting more and more people for the Lord.
Aside from, Dr. Wright, this protection of human life, of the sacredness of human life, aside from it being an issue of faith, no, of our church, this is also a social justice issue.
Yes, it is also a social justice issue. It is very, very clear in the teachings of the church, because one of the most fundamental principles of Catholic social justice is actually the protection of every human life and the preservation of the dignity of every human person, which is rooted in no less than the scriptures or the Bible. And thus, human life should be cherished, protected, and defended, because human life is a gift. I would like to quote Saint Pope John Paul II, the saint for the family, one of my favorite saints. He said it emphatically in his encyclical Evangelium Vitae, or the Gospel of Life. It is impossible to further the common good without acknowledging and defending the right to life, upon which all inalienable rights of individuals are founded and from which they develop. A society lacks solid foundations when, on the one hand, it asserts values such as the dignity of the person, justice, and peace, but then, on the other hand, radically acts contrary by allowing or tolerating a variety of ways in which human life is devalued and violated, especially where it is weak and marginalized. So only respect for human life can actually be the foundation and guarantee of the most precious and essential goods of society, such as democracy and peace. And of course, we also know that in the fifth commandment, we are told, thou shalt not kill. No? So it's really part of social justice.
Pero Doctor, would you agree with me that there is a global war against human life?
Certainly, grabe, todong-todo. Yeah.
Pagkwentuhan, Doktora, ano ba ang sitwasyon sa iba't ibang parte ng mundo as far as the protection of human life is concerned?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you asked that, Rita, because really, especially now with the new administration of the United States of America, we expect the war against human life is going to be more intense, because they have already provided a lot of funds. They are radically pro-abortion, pro-LGBT. So there's really a global war. So while our church fathers have constantly and consistently and clearly taught and reminded us about the inviolability and sacredness of every human life, it is painful to note that indeed today in the secular world, we are constant witnesses of an aggressive global war on human life in all its stages, from conception to natural death, which is really directed at the weakest and most vulnerable among us. For example, the babies in the womb, the disabled, the sick, the dying, the elderly, and even those in temporary states of mental health problems. Because very sadly today, Rita, human life is seen more from a utilitarian perspective and even as a material commodity. So kung wala ka ng gamit, may sakit ka, matanda ka na, then it's better that we just kill you. At tatawagin pa nilang mercy killing. And this is not the way how God designed it to be. And the global war is even more pronounced in the COVID pandemic. Do you know that even the World Health Organization declared abortion as an essential service? Kaya, can you imagine how
It
can
has declared abortion as an
yes,
essential
yes,
service.
yes. The WHO has declared it as an essential service. How can the murder of human beings be called an essential service? So really,
Doctora, in our country, because we're talking about abortion, in our country, meron mga grupo that is seeking to decriminalize abortion. Ang battle cry nila, abortion can be safe. Ano po ang masasabi niyo tungkol dyan? Especially now, I can imagine it will become more difficult with this statement from the World Health Organization.
We should fight it with all our life, because you know there is ever no such thing as safe abortion, Rita. Number one, it kills a baby, a human being, and the one who kills the baby is actually the mother of the child or the significant others, the husband, the family, and the doctor who vowed actually to do no harm first. So there is really no such thing as safe abortion. And then the mother who submits herself for abortion, and it's not only the mother, but also the father, they are wounded for life. So as Saint Mother Teresa has said, if we permit our mothers to kill even their own children, how can we say to one another, not how can we say to other people not to kill one another? It's just so sickening to even think of that. No such thing as safe abortion. Let us never commit that mistake. But probably, Rita, it's really because today the secular world and even the media has succeeded in sanitizing abortion. So
Kaya nga po parang okay na siya, nakatanggap-tanggap.
Right. So they talk about abortion na as if katanggap-tanggap, and they talk about abortion na they're not talking about a dead baby or a wounded woman for life, no? And ensuring that when people talk about abortion, they talk about anything but a dead baby. And they even euphemistically call abortion as reproductive health, even if it is never about reproduction, but it is actually killing the means of reproduction. They also call it compassionate healthcare, even if abortion is the violent and brutal killing of a living human being who is ripped piece by piece from a mother's womb, which is hugely traumatic for the mother, who is actually wounded for life. They also call it termination of pregnancy, or they call it evacuation of the uterus. They even call it freedom of choice, or they even call it as human right. So if you try to analyze this, Rita, no, it is significant to note that death peddlers themselves do not want to call it abortion, but they have couched it. Yeah. Yes, they have couched it in very palatable terms, because the term abortion is really atrocious in itself. So that's why they need to use these palatable terms for that. So that's why let's continue educating our people.
A lot of modern women, ang battle cry nila is, I have a right to my body. Diba? I can do whatever I want with my body because I own it and I have a right to it. Ano po ang masasabi niyo dyan?
Do we really own any part of our body? It's actually only God who created us. It's only God who can take it away. We don't own any part of our body. The Bible is very, very clear on that even before we were born, even the hairs of our head has been counted. He knew what was happening when we were knit on our mother's womb. So really, we don't own any part of our body. And we just really need to preach this season or off season.
At the other end of the poll, Doctora, when we talk of abortion, it is unwanted pregnancy. On the other side of the coin, we know couples who are not able to conceive children, to have children, and they resort to in vitro fertilization. What can you say about this?
Yeah, first, I would like to talk about unwanted pregnancy. You
Opo.
know, this is such a deceptive term.
Yes.
Can you call it unwanted, no, or mistimed pregnancy? We know very well that if you engage in sex with your partner, with your husband or wife, we know very well that you can actually get pregnant. So pregnancy is actually a logical consequence of I would like to call it marital embrace rather than just sex.
But Dr. we do know what is happening right now in the modern world. Minsan hindi pa kasal or hindi kasal, may ibang asawa. And it can also be an issue of incest or rape. So hindi po lahat ng pregnancy is coming from the marital act.
But you know, I've been here for so many years already. I've been around the world, and I've heard a lot of testimonies from people who stand up even before I finish my talk, who had children who were products of rape or even incest. And in fact, there's now an organization in the US, which is actually an organization of children conceived in rape. And they're saying that the president is actually now a lawyer. So you will see many children conceived in rape, and now you will really see the plan of God for them, because now they are very well placed in society. And one who is very vocal also in speaking is now married to a pastor. He was conceived in incestuous rape, no? And there is no reason for abortion to do that, even in cases where it has been most painful. Because Rita, you know, rape or whatever it is, incestuous or whatever, is already a traumatic act in itself. And then if we subject them to abortion, we are subjecting them to another trauma, yeah. And I have spoken with people, with women who actually have aborted their babies, and they tell me that even until now, when they're old already, they're still thinking of their babies. There's still guilt in them. And this are actually born by scientific studies.
Right. So balik po tayo sa at the other end of the pole. Ito namang mga mag-aasawa na because of age or stress or medical conditions, hindi po nagkakaanak, and they resort to in vitro fertilization. In fact, this is very well played in media, di ba? I don't want to mention names. Mga nagpa-freeze ng eggs. Is it really possible to freeze eggs?
You know, this is now a growing industry. I actually have a PowerPoint presentation on that, and it's really, people will understand, because many people, I've even spoken with priests who think that in vitro fertilization is actually pro-life, but actually it is not. In fact, the Catholic Church is very, very clear on this, that in vitro fertilization is actually immoral, no? Because the inevitable product of in vitro fertilization are actually surplus embryos, and even if it's called embryo, they're actually little human beings. They're actually little human beings which are made in the image and likeness of God. And so because they only want one, the embryos are frozen or eliminated, and so they are killed or they are used for experiments. And then there are also times when there are problems, like for example with sperm production. So you get actually a donor, no? Yes. So therefore it's like an adultery in a dish. And the church,
adultery in a dish. Okay,
yeah,
for those that use donor sperm.
Yeah. Yeah, because according to the very clear teachings of the Catholic Church, having children is not actually a right, because children is a gift of God. Probably you were not given a child because the Lord wants you to adopt, because there are so many children who are orphans, or probably the Lord wants you to spend more time in service to the church. So there are so many reasons. We just need to pray so hard to ask God for guidance actually on what he wants of us. And on the other hand, we already have technologies now which are not immoral. For example, even in natural family planning, we can teach people how to achieve, and even how to achieve a boy or a girl, and
Yes.
naprotechnology, no? So in fact, one of our my colleagues at Human Life International, they weren't able to have a child for so long, and then they went on naprotechnology, and so now they have one child.
Ano po
And
yung technology na yan?
so there, the woman's it's actually studied by the doctor. Baka meron siyang mga health problems, so the doctor actually deals with it, and then the woman is also helped. Saan ba yung most probability na kanyang fertile period? Because probably the husband and the wife are not doing the marital embrace during the fertile days. Baka dun sila sa infertile days, and they also do not know probably that they're so stressed, because stress can also be a factor to that, no?
Is
So
that
yun
available in the country?
I think so. In fact, I just had a meeting last night with Doctors for Life. One of the in our coming national convention, we're inviting somebody to speak on naprotechnology. And as far as Human Life International is concerned, during one of our Asia Pacific Congresses on Faith, Life, and Family, I actually asked Anan from Cebu, who is now based in Taiwan. She's actually a doctor. And then she spoke on naprotechnology. It's actually her specialization now. And you know, it's so very touching. If you go to her office, ang daming mga pictures ng mga babies who were conceived on naprotechnology.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
and there's another thing. Yeah, there's another thing that we have to emphasize. You know, kasi ina-injection na the woman is being injected, no, para mag-produce siya ng maraming eggs, na ganon. So yun na nga yung surplus embryos. You know, you have to understand, and I wish to emphasize this, that, you know, if the man and the woman only wants to have one child, pero ang nagawang embryo ay sabihin nating 5 to 8, ano ang gagawin ngayon doon sa surplus embryos?
Ano nga po ba ang ginagawa doon?
You know what they're doing? The doctor, guided by an ultrasound, i-injection na niya, because guided siya ng ultrasound, lalagyan niya yung kanyang injection ng chemical, toxic chemical like potassium chloride, i-inject right into the heart of the baby. And then, pinapatay yung baby. And then there are so many times, you know, in my presentation on that, sa aking PowerPoint presentation, I'm actually quoting some doctors who are into this, and it's just so sickening to hear them. And there are so many times, you know, that hindi na mamamatay kaagad yung baby. So they repeat again after 10 minutes. Yung iba naman, kasi hindi nila nakikita saan yung defective na baby or less desirable baby. So kung sino na lang yung naaabot ng doktor, yun na lang ang i-injectionan or papatayin. Isn't it murder? Many people don't realize this because they are parang they really want to have a child instead of praying so hard to the Lord, because there is no problem too great for God to solve. Baka yung Diyos just needs wants you to pray harder, developing your virtues like patience, kaya hindi ka muna binibigyan ng anak. You know, I've seen a lot of people who were able to deliver children after nag-adapt sila.
Right.
Or
meron nga mga ganun kwento.
Or nandun na sila. Yeah. Ang daming ganon. So we don't have to resort on this. But I'm so glad that you asked this, because many people don't understand how horrible or many horrific things are actually happening with in vitro fertilization.
Okay, Doctora, we end this episode on that note. Watch out for the next episode where we will talk about person in irreversible coma and about the relationship of the protection of life with creation, and of course, the family as a sanctuary of life. Abangan niyo po yan. This is Rita Dayrit reminding you today, haba-habaan po ang pasensya sapagkat ang buhay parang life.